Improving vocabulary is a critical aspect of mastering English, but many learners take ineffective approaches that can slow down their progress. Below are 30 common mistakes people make when trying to expand their English vocabulary. Memorizing word lists without context. Learning long lists of words without understanding how they are used in sentences is one of the most ineffective ways to improve vocabulary. Without context, the words are easily forgotten. Relying on rote memorization. Some learners depend solely on rote memorization, which leads to temporary retention of words. It's important to engage with words through reading, writing, and speaking to solidify them in memory. Ignoring word usage. Many learners memorize definitions without paying attention to how a word is actually used. Words can have multiple meanings depending on context, and knowing the usage is key to mastering them. Not using new words in conversations. Failing to incorporate new vocabulary into daily conversations leads to forgetting those words. Using new words in speaking and writing reinforces memory and understanding. Focusing only on rare or complex words. Some learners focus on learning difficult or uncommon words, neglecting basic vocabulary. It's better to have a strong grasp of everyday words before moving on to more advanced ones. Learning words in isolation. Learning individual words without connecting them to phrases or sentences is inefficient. Words gain meaning when used in context, so learning them with examples is much more effective. Overloading with too many words at once. Trying to learn too many new words at once can overwhelm the brain and lead to poor retention. It's better to learn a few words at a time and focus on deeply understanding them. Relying on bilingual dictionaries. Using bilingual dictionaries can hinder learning by encouraging translation-based thinking. English dictionaries, which provide definitions in English, help learners think in the target language. Neglecting pronunciation. Learning how a word is pronounced is as important as knowing its meaning. Neglecting pronunciation can result in miscommunication and reduce confidence when speaking. Avoiding synonyms and antonyms. Learning just the definition of a word without exploring its synonyms and antonyms limits vocabulary growth. Understanding related words enriches vocabulary and helps in more versatile language use. Not engaging with native content. Many learners avoid native English content, such as books, articles, or movies, which are excellent sources for picking up vocabulary and context. Exposure to authentic language boosts learning. Failing to review old words. Learners often focus only on acquiring new words and forget to review the ones they have already learned. Regular review is crucial for retaining vocabulary in the long term. Learning only written vocabulary. Some learners focus exclusively on written vocabulary, neglecting spoken words and phrases. It's important to practice both written and spoken vocabulary for well-rounded language skills. Relying on flashcards alone. While flashcards can be useful, relying solely on them can result in shallow learning. Words need to be applied in real contexts to be fully understood and remembered. Not understanding collocations. Words are often used in combination with other words, known as collocations. Ignoring how words collocate can lead to unnatural-sounding speech or writing. Neglecting vocabulary in specific areas of interest. Focusing only on general vocabulary and ignoring specific vocabulary related to your interests or profession can hinder effective communication in important areas. Focusing only on the meaning, not the form. Learners often focus on the meaning of words and neglect other forms, such as verb conjugations or noun forms. Knowing a word's different grammatical forms is essential for correct usage. Not learning phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs are common in English, especially in everyday conversation. Neglecting them can result in difficulty understanding native speakers and hinder natural language use. Learning words without emotional or contextual associations. Words are easier to remember when learners associate them with emotions, experiences, or personal situations. Learning in a meaningful context boosts retention. Focusing only on reading. Some learners improve their vocabulary solely through reading. However, reading needs to be supplemented with listening and speaking activities to understand how words are used in conversation. Not keeping a vocabulary journal. Learners who don't keep track of the new words they learn are less likely to retain them. Maintaining a vocabulary journal with meanings, sentences, and review sessions is an effective strategy. Neglecting idiomatic expressions. Focusing only on literal vocabulary and neglecting idiomatic expressions limits fluency. English is full of idioms, and understanding them is key to sounding more natural. Not practicing active recall. Simply reading or passively reviewing vocabulary is less effective than active recall, where learners test themselves by recalling words and meanings without looking at notes. Avoiding repetition. Some learners avoid repeating words they've already learned, believing it's a waste of time. However, repetition is vital for moving vocabulary from short-term to long-term memory. Not breaking words into word families. Learning words in isolation without understanding word families, such as help, helpful, helpless, etc., limits vocabulary development. Grouping words helps in learning related terms efficiently. Not focusing on word frequency. Learners sometimes spend too much time on rare words they may never use. Focusing on high-frequency words that are used in everyday speech and writing is more practical. Ignoring the power of visual learning. Many learners neglect visual aids, such as pictures, infographics, or videos, which can help in associating words with meanings more effectively, especially for visual learners. Learning vocabulary without understanding nuances. Words often have subtle differences in meaning depending on context. Neglecting these nuances can lead to miscommunication or inappropriate word usage. Neglecting slang and informal words. Some learners focus only on formal language and neglect slang or informal words. Knowing informal vocabulary is crucial for understanding everyday conversations and modern media. Not enjoying the process. Finally, many learners see vocabulary learning as a tedious task. Approaching vocabulary building with curiosity and enthusiasm by reading books you enjoy or watching interesting shows makes the process more enjoyable and effective.